In the red corner, standing at 6 feet 5 inches tall and weighing in at a mammoth 246 pounds, it's Britain's loudest lion, Lennox Lewis. Lennox would be coming into this fight after recently losing his WBC world title in a shock defeat against Oliver McCall. Looking to get back to his knockout ways and gain favour with the heavyweight world rankings, this was a must-win fight for the British giant, but standing in his way was a bulldog of a fighter, standing at a pint-sized 5 feet 9 inches tall and tipping the scales at a muscular 216 pounds. It's the Australian champion Justin Fortune. What the Ozzy might have lacked in height, he made up for in width. Standing with broad shoulders and heavy excess of muscle mass, this short king would have to have the fight of his life if he had any chance of stepping into the roped four walls with the mighty Lennox Lewis. The two vastly different fighters, a towering British heavyweight with an Olympic pedigree and an Australian underdog with a tough, gritty style. It's safe to say the crowd was in for a great fight.
10 seconds!
The team consists.
Lennox Lewis entered the boxing world with a unique background, starting his career as an Olympic prospect where he won gold in 1988 and later moving back to London, the city where it all began, to launch a professional career. Lewis had rapidly ascended the heavyweight rankings and by the early 1990s had positioned himself as one of the division's most promising talents. His physical advantages at 6'5" with a 7-foot wingspan combined with the watchful training of Emmanuel Stewart made him a formidable presence in the ring. In 1993, Lewis became the WBC heavyweight champion. However, the high of his success did not last long. In a shocking turn of events just a year after being crowned champion, he was knocked out by Oliver McCall in the second round, losing his WBC title in what many saw as an unexpected upset. This defeat was a wake-up call for Lewis and his team. In boxing, especially in the heavyweight division, one loss could shift public opinion and potentially derail a fighter's career. For Lennox, the loss to McCall posed both a challenge and an opportunity. The former champion needed a comeback to prove that his loss was an anomaly rather than a reflection of his potential to be the greatest British boxer of all time. As he began his comeback campaign, a clash with Justin Fortune became part of that strategy. I know what you're thinking, who the heck is Justin Fortune? In stark contrast to Lewis's measured, strategic style, Justin Fortune embodied a gritty, hard-hitting approach to boxing. A former rugby player and powerlifter from Australia, Fortune brought toughness, endurance, and a dog-like work ethic to the ring. He didn't have the same level of fame, pedigree, or physical advantages as Lennox, but he had built a solid career doing the rounds down under on the heavyweight circuit. Fortune was used to being the underdog, and for him the fight with Lewis represented a chance to elevate himself and potentially score a massive upset that could catapult his career. Fortune's team understood what they needed to do. While Lennox was taller, stronger and had better reach, Fortune's resilience and brawling style could make him an unpredictable and dangerous opponent. Fortune trained relentlessly, working with his team to capitalize on whatever weaknesses they could identify in the towering Brit. After all, they knew that a fighter who had been recently knocked out might still carry vulnerabilities that could be exploited. His strategy was simple: get inside Lewis's long reach, apply pressure and throw power shots to disrupt his rhythm and potentially open him up to another unexpected knockout. Fight night would see for the first time Lennox fighting out of Ireland's capital city, Dublin, a city famed for its heavy drinkers and even heavier hitters. The Points was the venue and packed to the rafters with famed locals and Lennox's biggest fan, Violet Lewis. This lady never missed a show. The ring walk would see the Australian walk first, dressed all in black to possibly the most dramatic piece of music of all time. The classical piece, O Fortuna, a nod to the crowd that he had travelled around the world to contend with the former champion and not make up the numbers.
It's going to be very, very difficult for him to do that, as you said.
The massive Brit would stroll out next, taking in the Irish crowd and travelling fans on his slow walk to the ring. With him would be his close-knit team, made up of his right-hand man Dennis Lewis and legendary boxing trainer Emmanuel Stewart. Could Lennox Lewis fight his way back through the heavyweights best in the division to gain another shot at the world title? Or would the travelling challenger put his money where his mouth is and shock the world by proving the bigger they are, the harder they fall?
How good is Lewis going to look here? He's expected
to get this job done in former world heavyweight champion, Britain's only world heavyweight champion this century. 15.5 stone.
Fortune's got to make his size work for him, which he can't with them long punches. It's a long way to punch down for Lennox.
In his brief spell in Britain, he said he's dangerous with the left hook. Now Fortune going for broke, hoping that
Lewis using that jab to good effect. That's what he's got to do. Just right hand, but if he can measure him with a jab, he can land with the right. Don't hold! Don't hold!
You've been too much of that big booming right hand of his.
No, I think he's got to try and get Fortune on the end of the jab first.
Because he's on a bit of a hiding to nothing here, really. If he wins, if he doesn't, the critics will have a go at him. A good body punch there from Lewis. Well, the Australian certainly doesn't seem fazed at all by the assignment, does he?
After a strong start from the former champion, Lennox would see his height and reach used effectively. But the challenger from down under, true to his word, would get in close and try to beat the distance, throwing powerful body shots looking to unstable the tall Brit. Could Justin Fortune wear down the 6'5" powerhouse, or would Lennox ring generalship be too much for the battle-hardened powerlifter?
Lewis looks a bag of nerves during the fight. Of course, Lewis is a huge investment for him. Right upon Lewis in the white trunks with plenty of ambition, but he's got everything to gain and not much to lose.
Lennox is the one with all the pressure. So he's pretty quick at getting in.
Nick under the right eye of Fortune. Nothing these days. Good stiff jab. Emmanuel Stewart was saying that when he inherited Lewis, he was quite just there with his left hook. Oh, that's better from Lewis. The right hand, almost clear. Just stung into a bit of action, Lewis. It was about time he upped. And he says that he's more focused now in the ring. That cut a bit worse by the...
Lewis used the uppercut well, and that's a shot he's got to use. Fight to Lewis.
Quite heavy artillery, like that.
Yes, the reflexes are off back.
Oh, he's paid such a heavy price for his lapse of concentration.
The second would see some fans eating their words, saying Fortune wouldn't see the first 2 rounds with his eyes open. This 5'9" rugby player would be in this fight and just coping with Lennox's long punches from every angle. Would he have enough grit and take the bull by the horns, or would he just not be tall enough in a division of ever-evolving monsters?
Third round.
The second a good one for Lewis, slipping into gear.
Starting to look marked up around the face, the Australian. The 2 other reasons, as you might have read this week. Lewis has to be careful that Fortune going with quite a bit of abandon.
Very well, nice and fast.
Those shots.
They're trying to get to Lewis.
This is the typical Ozzy spirit. Out there, and of course it was Lewis who beat Bo in that Olympic final when he won his gold medal.
Very quick, which is a point that he didn't do in several of his fights beforehand. Certainly didn't do with McCall.
Right hand counter from Lewis. He covered up well. He took those punches. Coming up towards the end of the 3rd round here. A lot of people thought it wouldn't last. Fortune on the gloves.
Yes, he's covering up well and come back with good count.
The end of the 3rd round would see things just start to heat up. Lennox notoriously never started quickly. He would always build into the fight like a freight train, gaining momentum. Fortune would have moments of hope, but ultimately find himself wrapped up under Lewis' massive wingspan. Lennox Lewis would look to press on in the 4th round, exactly how the 3rd ended.
They look happy enough in that corner. very, very heavy in his crane, or a bow would live with the new Lennox Lewis for 8 or 10 rounds. So far, great shot. Fortune took it well and came back with a terrific left. Maybe he's been told by the corner to go out and get the job done now. Oh, right uppercut was a great... So far, Fortune, though, has managed into the fourth. Lewis here, pre-fight script suggested.
Now how much more he can take.
They headlined this bill Doomsday in Dublin. It really would be nice of Fortune as he's caught with an... And there's a lot of it. Fortune is caught here and in terrible trouble, and it stopped. Oh! It stopped. Series of punches, a cluster, classy uppercuts, and Lennox Lewis.
And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. 3 uppercuts is what was needed to put this tough Aussie to bed. All credit to Justin Fortune. Not only did he go in and take the fight to Lennox Lewis, but he got up after a triple uppercut combination, something a lesser man may have struggled with. And as always, we leave you with one question. Are you an old school boxing fan? If so, be sure to give the subscribe button a stiff jab. I've been Frank Monroe here at Below the Belt Boxing. Take care.